And it's Leon Parker. Good evening. What's up, everybody?
I am super excited tonight because we are talking about like real life, what we've been experiencing and going through. And so we are super excited to share some nuggets with you tonight. So do us a favor, like, share, comment, tag a friend.
Right now.
Right now. Hey! For the next 20 to 30 minutes, we're definitely going to love on you, give you some information from our learning and life lessons that I think have really served us well. And we want to bring some of our friends on to also help empower you. Now, we are not realtors. We're not necessarily real estate gurus, but we've learned some pretty helpful tips along the journey. And we want to definitely help you. And this really spurred from, babe, someone said, I'd rather die than move before Christmas. And I was like, well,
okay.
You better
see you at the crossroads.
And I was like, no, there's like some real value. Like, this is really intentional about why we do this. So, babe, go ahead. Let's bring our friends up. Again, like, share, comment. Let us know where you're tuning in from. We hope you had an amazing Christmas. And I'm looking forward to 2022, babe.
Absolutely. So we have two amazing, phenomenal men who will be sharing with us tonight. We're going to go ahead and bring them on to the stage. What's up, guys?
Hey.
How y'all doing?
Good.
Awesome. Thanks for having us on.
Thank you for joining us. Tonight we have with us Stephen Wiley, who is a realtor, as well as an investor. He's one of my friends, and of course, he's a graduate from one of the best historically Black colleges in the country, Miles College. But he is with Wiley Home Elites as well as EXP Realty, and he is doing some phenomenal things here in Alabama. And of course, he's probably going to share that he's also working in different areas outside of Alabama. But we're so glad to have you here with us tonight, Steve.
No, I'm glad to be here, man. Thank you guys for inviting me on. I'm looking forward to share some information.
Absolutely. And secondly, I'm excited to have Thomas Halloway with us. He's also called the Mortgage Guy. But I got to give a shout out to Leah Graves, who introduced us to Thomas.
And now you're stuck with us.
And now he's stuck with us. He's part of the family. But Thomas is an Army reservist. He's the mortgage guy, right? And former college football player and a fitness enthusiast. Okay. That's what's up. And he's a child of God.
He is.
He's a child of God.
And he likes
Jamaican food.
I do like Jamaican food. I really
and
like
Indian food too.
You got it.
So glad to have you, Thomas.
I appreciate you guys. I'm happy to share some stuff with you.
Cool. Let's get right to it, Nathalie.
Yeah. So really, let's start with for those who, whether they're new homeowners or they're looking to become first-time homeowners, you know, there's a lot of frustration, anxiety, just you don't know what you don't know. So, Stephen, in your experience as a realtor, and Thomas, with your experience as the mortgage guy, what are some secrets that you would like to share with those people who are having frustration and just feel so overwhelmed about the process? What are some tips you can share with them to, like, you know, cool out, pump your brakes, and these are some things that you can do?
Well, you go ahead, Stephen, because I feel like you're the first point of contact in those situations.
Yeah, so honestly, whenever I'm working with someone, what I like to do is really just give them an entire layout of the entire process from the day that we meet. And this removes a lot of the anxiety. So of course, we know that once you start going through the home buying process, it can be very challenging. I mean, you're talking about mortgage rates, you're talking about looking for a property in a very, very hectic market right now. So it can be very overwhelming. So literally sitting down, going from, hey, this is how we start off looking for properties. This is how I'll send you property. This is how we view properties. This is my role. This is the lender's role. And just going through the entire process prior to ever stepping foot in the house, I've really learned that people seem to, you know, adapt more, and the process is a lot smoother if you do that. So that's one of my secrets I like to do, is just, be fully prepared. And that's not to say that there aren't going to be things that pop up that, aren't surprises, because it is real estate. It is a transaction that I tell people no two are alike.
Right.
Yeah.
No two are alike. So, but just preparing, that's key.
And what about you, Thomas?
And I could talk about this for days. But compared to Stephen, because really the face of every transaction is the realtor. People probably disclose more to the realtor than they do most other people, for good reason. I think that's why realtors are so good at what they do, and that's why Stephen captures people's emotions and needs and everything so well. For me, I get a lot of that too, maybe not quite as much as Stephen, but it's more about taking a deal that is now live or pre-approving someone to get to the point where they can make an offer on a house from that point until closing. And so really, like, my top 3 things that I care about in conjunction with my borrower, who could be Stephen's buyer or client, is that we care about the time, and then we care about the numbers, and then after that we care about the language, and like all those things really work in conjunction with each other. But for most first-time home buyers, it's understanding what the immediate cost could be, because most people automatically jump to what their monthly could be, or they get really excited about the prospect of owning a home when they go under contract or when they start looking at properties, when there could be something in the way of them actually qualifying or affording the transaction. Most people don't understand that closing costs are different than the down payment, and those 2 things are different than the prepaids, which include taxes and insurance, and all those factors go into what you owe at the closing table, and that can be different for every kind of loan, every kind of loan. So really, just understanding how to budget effectively at the beginning. And I'm not going to get even into the credit conversation yet, right? Like what you need to do to build credit, make sure that's good and everything.
So both
but yeah,
are in Alabama, right?
Right.
So tell us what led you to this market. Tell us what led you to real estate.
For me, I know this is super cliche with most realtors, but it's always something I wanted to do. I previously was working in the banking industry, and I was dealing with refinances. So just amongst colleagues and friends, we would often talk about realtors and the role that realtors play, and it could be a great field. I didn't jump into real estate right away. However, I did attempt to start taking the test online. Had a lot going on, so I stopped, ended up finding another job, and then just decided, hey, you know what? Real estate is where I want to be. So I went ahead, and instead of doing an online course, I went into an actual physical location, passed the test, and the rest is history.
That's cool.
Love it.
Yeah.
Thomas, athlete turned mortgage guy. Where did that come from?
Well, maybe contrarily to Stephen, I never thought I'd be interested in something like this. Like not at all. I came from a military service background. I was active duty for 6.5 years, and really I joined this because it was company and experience first and mortgages second. I was looking for a transition to coming out of the military, wanted to come back home to Birmingham with my wife and daughter and settle down. And through a friend, I found what is now my brokerage, which is Birmingham Mortgage Group. I just immediately fell in love with who they were, what they do, and what their mission was. And I've always told myself it's more about how you do what you do than what you do. And it's been awesome. Like, I've been with them for a little while now, and I absolutely love it. I never thought I'd care so much about mortgages, but I say it's kind of different because they're really glamorous jobs. There are times in the military where my job sounded a lot cooler than it actually was. Now my job doesn't sound that cool, but behind the scenes, it's awesome. Right? It's awesome, and I love it. So being able to work with people at a local and intimate level and then meet people like you guys is part of the joy of the job. So I love it.
Definitely.
And I would say both of you, it's not just the job, it's a calling, it's a passion.
Absolutely.
You do it with excellence, and we are not necessarily the most easiest people to please. So if you work
I think we were pretty easy.
Yeah, you guys were easy.
You guys are great. You guys are great.
Yeah, seriously.
So,
But you really do have to have a passion for it, though. A lot of times I hear people say, "Man, you work a lot. Like, just take a break." But it really, honestly, does not feel like work. I get up every morning and I just really love doing it.
Yeah, it's like they're saying, when you love what you do, it's never work, right?
Right, exactly.
It's never work. That's pretty cool. So, guys, let's talk about our process. This is the second time that we've purchased a home at the end of the year. And a lot of people are hesitant about purchasing homes. They hear misconstrued things about purchasing a home at the end of the year. But it was something that we intentionally did. I remember when we moved back to Birmingham, the market was high. It was competitive and it was high. And
Yeah.
one thing we agreed on when looking for a home is that we were going to wait and ride the waves and really take our time. And so here it is at the end of the year. We purchased a home back in November, closed what?
It was so
Before
fast.
Thanksgiving?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Right before Thanksgiving.
And then we moved the week before
We
Christmas.
moved the week before Christmas.
Yeah.
So give us some tips and tools about the advantages of purchasing a home at the end of the year, and particularly in this setting, end of 2021.
And we already have some questions coming in.
Absolutely.
I feel like
Yeah.
you're ready, Stephen. Go ahead.
No, so I mean, honestly, I like to be totally transparent when it comes to buying a home. So there are definitely pros and cons to buying at the end of the year.
Mm-hmm.
I would say, and it's kind of tough. So if you're looking to purchase a home at the end of the year, you run into a situation of low inventory. Now, most people during the end of the year, they're spending time with family, Christmas is going on, Thanksgiving. So as a buyer, there's not a lot of houses out there for you to look at. That's just pretty much what it is. So that's the downside to it. However, the good thing about it is there's less competition. So in this market, we're currently in a seller's market, and it's pretty tough to purchase a home. Most of the houses are selling for over asking price. So if you're going into the end of the year buying process, now we don't have as much competition. So we might be able to go in, make an offer on the property, and not have to go way over asking price, or maybe not even have any competition at all. So it's bittersweet. It can go either way.
I know this summer it was a bidding war.
Oh
We
yeah,
were looking at several homes and people were just like putting in all kind of offers.
yeah. You definitely have to have some strategy behind those offers because it gets tough. Yeah.
Yeah. And what I love about for us, well, what our experience has been is at the end of the year, you have a little bit more leverage to negotiate because people are looking to close before the year's out. They want to get out before the holiday. And so for people like us who on our list of priorities, having equity immediately in the home and being able to get it under what it's valued or even under asking, that's like a key priority for us to why we're like, yeah, we're gonna buy at the end of the year.
Exactly.
Yeah, and you probably see that a lot, Stephen, where people, for one reason or another, they're just emotionally convicted to close by a certain time. Yeah, it comes across, my sphere a lot where people say, "Oh, I really want to close by Thanksgiving." And I'm like, "Oh, okay, so you're gonna move in?" And they're like, "No, I'm not moving in for 3 more weeks." I'm like, "Why do you care?"
No, I'm so serious. I'm literally going through it right now.
They want it. From a mortgage perspective, I would say that perhaps your biggest challenge is understanding a lack of behind the scenes workforce and bank closures, because no matter what kind of organization you work through, I mean, you still have high level investors supporting the ultimate transaction. You still have underwriters. So people naturally go on holiday a little bit more during the holidays. And then you have federal holidays that instigate bank closures. So as long as you compensate for those days and you're not trying to hit 18-day term times for every transaction during the winter, you're going to be okay. Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah, I had someone reach out to me beginning of December, and they're like, "Yeah, I need to go ahead and buy a house before the end of the year." I'm like, "It's gonna be pretty tough, especially if you're dealing with a lender and having to go through underwriting. It can be very tough." So
Absolutely. So we have a question in the comment section. Lamont Wells asks, "What's the most important part of the home buying process?"
I couldn't really say that there's one most important part. One is going to be inspection time frame. So definitely you want to get your inspection done, make sure everything is okay with the property. Another important time will be the appraisal. We want to make sure that the property does appraise for what it needs to appraise for. And then also the third I would say is Thomas. getting all documents in on time. That way, everything can be reviewed by the underwriter. Most of the time when you run into challenges, it's due to, hey, documents weren't in on time, underwriter wasn't able to review on time, and therefore we may have to push the closing back a little bit.
Underwriter. What's an underwriter? Someone may not know what it is.
So basically, underwriter. Yeah, go ahead, Thomas.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. You go ahead.
No, so basically your underwriter will be the one to review the file and give you the final stamp of approval. Basically, you'll get what's called a clear to close, meaning they verified your income, they verified your employment, they verified pretty much everything that Thomas has packaged together and sent over to them.
That's right. Yep. That's right. Nailed it. Hey, he's ready. Yeah, I know you have a little bit of background in it too, but hey, you're ready to kill it from the mortgage side as well. You asked me for all the deals that I have had this past year that have not resulted in a closing. Every single time there's a lack of assets or a poor cash flow, right? Meaning it's just not enough in the green. Right. Yes, if you were to ask me, and I have a different take on everything, the money's not there, you're not going to get the house. Every single time. And we can always push closings back. We can pay for extensions. It's all time against money, never time in and of itself. So if you have all the money in the world, but you never submitted your documents on time and you had to pay for an extension because of a family emergency or whatever, and you have to do it again. Okay, like now it's more expensive, but you still close. You just don't close on time because you didn't get the documents in. But you can still do it because the money is there. But if you don't have the assets to overcome your debts and your payments, or excuse me, you don't have the assets to afford your transactions, and you don't have the monthly income to overcome those recurring debts to include your new housing payments and costs, it's a done deal. I mean, it can never happen. Yeah. So people don't really understand what goes into their debt to income ratio. They don't understand what assets they need to bring, and it can kind of result in some bad stuff if people are not well coached.
I agree, Thomas. And one other thing I would say is anybody that's looking to purchase a home, be completely transparent with your realtor and your lender. We are on your side. Be completely transparent.
You'd be surprised.
Don't go trying to hide this, that, and the other, thinking that it's going to mess you up. Trust me. And just quick story and example, I had a young lady who came to me. She wanted to purchase a house, and I was just going over the details, and a lot of the pieces just weren't adding up to me. So we're talking, and she was like, Stephen, I'm just gonna be honest, like the funds that we're gonna use are actually coming from my father. He's gonna give me the money, but he told me not to tell you. So I'm like, don't do that. Yeah, because once he gives you that money, it can really cause an issue. And Thomas can attest to this. You start seeing large deposits going into your account, most underwriters are going to question it versus letting us know that up front, and that way we can tell you how to get those funds the right way.
Stephen, please back me up on this. What is really interesting to me about residential real estate transactions is that people often fail to realize that they're more than just a customer. Yeah. Right? So if someone comes to a realtor, if someone comes to, our lending office, whatever the case may be, like, yeah, you're a customer and you deserve to be treated well. You know what I mean? Like it's your right to receive good service is the way that I look at things, but you're more of an applicant than anything else. So people fail to realize that. They're like, oh, why am I not getting this? Why am I not getting this? Not everyone's meant to be a homeowner. Not everyone's prepared to be a homeowner. So the people who do really well, they work to achieve their approval, like for their loan. And they know that at the end of the day, they, as a borrower of a home, they are an investment. No one's giving you money unless they can make money off of you. So when you're a customer, a borrower, an applicant for a mortgage loan, you are an investment. So if you don't make yourself attractive as an investment, if you withhold details, or if you lie about your income, or whatever the case may be, you're not going to get what you're looking for. And people are not going to invest money in you, because that's ultimately what it boils down to.
Thomas, you said something that really definitely, you said not everyone will be homeowners. So not everyone can be homeowners, which for me takes me to the next question. If I'm really pursuing home ownership, what would be a word or what would be something to describe the importance of home ownership? Someone who's really interested, they seem to pre-qualify, they seem to be interested and really serious about taking that next step. What would be a word or some wisdom that you would give to them as they seek home ownership?
So for people who have already thought about this heavily enough to know that they really want to buy a home, I would say budgeting. And the reason I say that is because people so frequently get themselves in situations. It happens a lot with young people. It happens a lot with young people who are coming out of college. They have mountains of student debt, but really high credit scores and decent monthly income. Like, and I say decent, that's purely relative. That's against their debts, right? It's enough to qualify for the kind of home they want to buy, or the amount of house they want to buy, and the amount of loan they want to finance. They don't understand that you've got to have a certain amount of assets that is liquid and available to be able to do this, right? And then the second layer to the budgeting is sourcing what you've budgeted, right? So the common phrase or word that we like to use in the mortgage industry for illegitimate funds is mattress money, right? So I come across it left and right when people go, oh, well, I have tip money, or I have a rainy day fund or drug money. Who knows what it is, right? So anything that is just a pile of cash that is unbanked, sitting in your bedroom or your closet or your safe or whatever the case may be,
in your shoebox,
you can't use it as it is, right? You can't use it as it is. And legally and professionally, somebody in my position as a mortgage loan officer, I'm not allowed to direct you or encourage you to use those funds in any kind of way, right? Because that can get really illegal really fast. It lends itself to a lot of fraudulent situations. So you got to be really careful with that. So anything that,
like Frank Lucas, right? American Gangster.
God, this is
I can't buy the house in cash.
It's all about paper trails supporting the money that you're showing, right? So just like Stephen said, no recent deposits in a bank that are unsourced. If someone's going to pay for their kid's down payment or their closing costs or whatever the case may be, it's always got to come from that person's personal bank account. And that person has to be a registered family member. Like, there are specific rules that are in place to protect things like that. Oh my God. I saw a juicy comment right here come across my screen, or question, right? So it says, what are the standard lending requirements for self-employed individuals? The short answer is that there is no difference between the requirements, but the way you show your money affects everything.
Okay.
There you
It
go.
affects everything. So I bet you Stephen goes to his first consultation with some buyers and they're like, oh, we just started a business. We bought a restaurant. And Stephen's like, when did you buy it? And they're like, oh, we bought it 4 months ago. And Stephen's like,
Right.
Call me in 2 years. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
Like stuff like that. So,
or even
really,
like for us, it was showing payroll that we pay ourselves from the business. Like, things like that is so important.
Right.
When you're talking about the qualification process.
Yeah, but we were talking about this with a few people at your house recently at the get together. It's tricky because just because you pay yourself a salary doesn't necessarily get you off the hook. You know what I mean? Because when you're still expressing full ownership of a company, you own the entire profit of the company, more or less. I mean, it gets a little bit more complicated when you file for S Corp and everything else. But you're not fully protecting yourself just because you pay yourself a salary. It has everything to do with what those numbers are.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So if you pay yourself a very tiny salary and then the rest of your business earnings are actually reflected as a really low net profit on your tax returns because you wrote off a bunch of expenses, then you're not going to be able to qualify for anything greater than what your low salary is that you pay yourself. So you got to be really careful. Yeah. So that I'll wrap it up by saying this. For self-employed persons, the number one thing you want to look at to help you understand what your buying power is and to help your mortgage guy or girl understand what your buying power is to look at your Schedule C. If you file individually, look at your Schedule C and understand what your net profit is. Net profit from business, Schedule C on your tax return, that'll tell you what you're looking at. Because if you have a ton of write-offs, like if you make $40,000 in a year, but you write off $32,000, I mean, guess what? You're borrowing off of $8,000. So you got to be really careful about what you do with that money, because a lot of people try to reduce how much they pay Uncle Sam in taxes, and now they can't borrow any money to buy a house.
Yeah, I see that often, Thomas. That's one. As a matter of fact, I think that is one of the key things, the number one things that stops entrepreneurs from purchasing a home. And it's not anything that is bad, because in most cases, you don't want to spend a lot of money at the end of the year in taxes, at the beginning of the year. So you depreciate, you write off a lot of things. But what we don't realize is when we look at the tax returns, or when a lender looks at the tax returns, oh, you made $20,000 this year? Like, you can't buy a house on that. But that's what it looks like on paper,
That's good.
So.
We have another comment question. I signed a contract 82 acres in Coleman, Alabama for
Stephen.
$199. Is that a good investment? And I know that's kind of relative.
Yeah, that really depends. I mean, if you're working with a realtor, you want to find out how much are acres going for in Coleman, you know. Basically get them to look at some comps and say, hey, acres are going for this amount. See if that 199 is below or above that amount. That's most important. And then what are you going to use the acres for? Are you just buying it just to have it? Is there some type of potential company that's coming that may buy you out at a later point?
Did you buy for lumber?
Yeah, did you buy it to? Yeah, exactly, for lumber. Like, what's the purpose of buying the acreage?
Yeah, I mean, how long you're holding it too makes a huge difference. Ask people if that purchase would have made sense in 2007. They'd say no, right? But here, over 10, 15 years later, perhaps it is. I think it has a lot to do with what the planned infrastructure improvements look like in the area, right? Like what corporate structures or what residential developments are going to be coming up in that area, how close you are to, other forms of development and highways and stuff like that. Because if there's potential growth that's going to hit that acreage or close to that acreage in the near future, perhaps you could even sell it to an investor 5-10 years down the road and you can make a ton of money.
Yeah, we're seeing that right now here in Birmingham in the the northern area of Birmingham, close to the stadium.
As we get ready for the World Games.
Right.
We're all excited about the World Games on this side of the world.
Exactly.
This is our last question from the audience. Is the process to build on inherited land and buying a house the same qualifying process? Great question tonight.
No, I would say no, because you're seeking different types of loans. That's why. So really, you own real estate in one and you don't own real estate in the other. So the actual purchase of sheer real estate already changes things. And then the other thing too is like you're qualifying for a permanent mortgage when you buy a house with the land already. Like a lot of the stuff that Stephen does, like what probably comprises the bulk of your book of business would be buying a house with land already attached to it, right? You're buying everything involved with it. You're getting a mortgage financing option that supports the entire thing. When you build on inherited land, the land is yours. You go on deed and title probably without having to buy it at all. But now you have to specifically search for a construction loan to support the build that you want to do with the specs that you're interested in, with the materials costs that you want to do. And I'll tell you guys, it's tough when people come to me and they ask for construction loans because I'm always trying to find someone who can do it for them. But it's tricky because construction loans have so many moving and changing parts to them. The costs almost always go up a lot, especially in the past couple of years. They go up a lot by the end of things. And there's not a lot of money to be made by a lot of the big banks that do it, right? So you're working with somebody like me, who's a small hometown-oriented residential mortgage broker. I'm not your preferred source to do something like this. But even if you talk to some of these, megalodons of banks, they're not going to make a whole bunch of money doing what you're suggesting. So that kind of changes things too. It's harder to find. It's a lot harder to find.
That's good. Stephen, did you have anything you wanted to add?
No, Thomas pretty much killed it. What he said was right on point.
So we have some good comments. People are like, that's good. Very informative. Great information. So guys, we love and appreciate you. Thank you so much for being on. It is World Changer Wednesday, and that means tomorrow is webinar night. So you can go ahead and hop on to the Art of Securing Grants webinar. For those of you who are already in the community, go ahead and put hashtag World Changer Nation in the comments section so you can let everybody know you're a part of our community. We love and appreciate you. And we have some exciting things coming up too. We have the 1K giveaway.
Oh yes, stay tuned.
That's gonna open up. Registration is gonna open up in January.
Tell us a little about that.
Yeah, so we are going to give about 5 world changers. So you could be a nonprofit owner, a small business owner. We're going to give you an opportunity to pitch your nonprofit or your small business. And we're going to gift you at the beginning of the year $1,000.
Look at Thomas.
Hey, that's 1K we're giving away at the top of the year. for you to do a 2-minute pitch of your nonprofit or small business. We have some amazing coaches that's going to come along. But listen, you got to be a part of our community. So what does that mean? That means you either have to be enrolled in the Art of Securing Grants,
That's right.
or in one of our courses, or been one of our clients to be able to qualify to be a part of the 1K giveaway. We also are in the spring. We're going to do our funding retreat. So there's so many things that we're cooking up for you for 2022 that we're really excited about. If you're not on the email list, go ahead to NathalieNelsonParker.com. Get on our email list. Everyone's like, I'm so excited about the 1K challenge.
Listen, before we get out of here, because we know that 30 minutes is not enough time. I think we should have Thomas and Stephen back. I don't know. What do you guys think? Put it in the comment section if you think we should have Thomas and Stephen back. There's so much that we can cover. But first of all, we just want to thank you for taking the time out to share your wisdom and knowledge. Now, if there's somebody who's serious about home ownership, they really want to get the ball rolling, how can they contact you? We're going to start with Stephen, and then we're going to end with Thomas.
Yeah, so you can reach out to me on social media or give me a call. So my social media tag on Instagram is Stephen, spelled with the PH, .realtor. And phone number is 205-275-2917. And also on Facebook, it's just Stephen Wiley, Wiley.
Yeah, and mine's pretty easy to come across. When you search for Birmingham Brokerages or Birmingham Mortgage, you can find me pretty easily. So Birmingham Mortgage Group, LLC is the brokerage that I work for. And we have a nice little swanky website that you can go on and you can see us all there. So Thomas Halloway, you can look me up on Facebook. You can find my personal page there pretty easily. And then Thomas at Birmingham Mortgage Group's website, pretty easy. I'll throw my number here in the chat in just a moment if you guys ever need to text me or call me.
Yeah, definitely.
So, guys, I think you're stuck with us again because the community's like, please have them to come back and do it.
We're here to help however we can.
Yeah, it's
fun. We have a whole team here, so whatever you guys need, we're here to help.
And this will not be the last of this. Listen, World Changers, we love you. We appreciate you. Have an amazing rest of the few days in this year, and let's make 2022 your best year yet. Right? No matter who you are, no matter where you are in life's journey, you know what I'm going to say. I want you to hashtag secure the grant, hashtag secure the funding, and you better hashtag make your life the best one yet. Peace out, y'all.
Bye.